Detroit, 2009. A man walked into a gas station with antibiotics in his pocket. He walked out with 2 gallons of oil, a bag of rice, and 3 jars of peanut butter. The antibiotics cost $14 at CVS, 2 years before CVS closed. This wasn't Venezuela, this was the United States. In this video, I'm going to show you the 3 assets that outperformed gold in every major collapse of the last 100 years. None of them are on any financial advisor's list. One of them is at your grocery store right now for under $10. Here's the thing nobody in the financial space will say out loud. Gold is not the ultimate crisis asset. It never was. Gold is a store of value, an excellent one, for the world between crises, but in a real collapse, not a stock market dip, not a recession, a genuine systemic failure where supply chains disintegrate and pharmacies go dark, gold has one fatal flaw. You can't drink it. You can't swallow it to kill an infection. You can't plant it in the ground and feed your family 6 weeks later. Let's start with the one that has funded revolutions, kept black markets alive, and kept more people alive during collapse than any government relief program in history. Hard spirits. Berlin, winter of 1923. The mark isn't dying, it's already dead. 4.2 trillion marks to $1 US. The most industrialized nation in Europe has reverted to something medieval. Farmers outside the city refuse paper currency entirely. Not because they're unsophisticated, because they're the smartest people in the room. They know that by the time they drive home, whatever marks they accepted that morning are worth half what they were at breakfast. What they accept without hesitation is schnapps, cheap, high-proof grain alcohol, a bottle for a dozen eggs, 2 bottles for a cut of pork. And here is the part every prepper manual, every survival guide, every finance channel gets completely wrong. They treat alcohol like a commodity, something people want because they want to drink. That's 20% of the story. The real reason spirits become the dominant barter currency in every collapse is psychological, documented, repeatable, cross-cultural, 5 continents, 100 years of data. In any barter economy, the single biggest obstacle isn't supply, it's trust. 2 strangers meet. One has flour, one has a chicken. In a functioning economy, money bridges that gap. Money backed by courts, banks, institutions both parties believe in. Strip those institutions away and barter stalls. Not because people don't want to trade, because they can't close the trust gap fast enough. A bottle on the table changes everything. It creates shared consumption. It activates social circuitry that no coin, no gold disc, no government instrument has ever been able to activate. You can see it, smell it, taste it. Its value requires no institution to back it up. Argentina, 2001. The peso is decoupled from the dollar overnight by government decree. Bank accounts frozen. The middle class, teachers, lawyers, architects, loses decades of savings in a single weekend. Barter clubs explode across Buenos Aires and Rosario. At their peak, 6 million participants, operating entirely outside the formal economy. World Bank researchers inside these networks find something that breaks conventional pricing logic. Alcohol, coffee, tobacco function as the pricing anchors for everything else. A bottle of Fernet trades for quantities of food its original price could never have bought. Not a small premium. Multiples. Because when a man has eaten plain rice for 3 weeks, when his savings are frozen by the government he voted for, when the pharmacy down the street has been dark since Tuesday, a drink isn't a vice. It is one of the only signals left that he is still living a human life. That emotional premium doesn't attach to gold. Nobody holds a gold coin and feels warmth. Nobody shares a gold coin with a stranger and watches the room open up. Here's the math. A liter of mid-shelf vodka costs $9 today. Stored properly, high-proof spirits last indefinitely, decades, technically centuries. That $9 bottle is simultaneously a barter instrument, a wound disinfectant, a pain management tool, a food preservative, and a social lubricant that closes deals that would otherwise die. Gold does one thing. It sits there, and in an acute collapse, the farmer on the other side of the table may not care what it's worth at all. Hand him a coin and the conversation might end. Hand him a bottle and it starts. And here's what the data actually shows when you map this across multiple collapses. In post-war Japan, American GIs didn't trade dollars on the black market. They traded cigarettes and whiskey, items that moved at 10 to 20 times their face value in real purchasing power. In Soviet breadlines of the 1980s, a bottle of vodka was an informal currency so reliable that workers were partially paid in it. Not as a joke, as policy, because factory managers knew vodka held value better than rubles. In Lebanon in 2019, when the banking system froze overnight and Lebanese depositors lost access to their own savings, the informal economy that emerged ran almost entirely on consumables. Alcohol moved faster than dollars in certain neighborhoods, not because dollars weren't valuable, because a bottle required no bank, no exchange rate, no wire transfer, and no trust in an institution that had just proven it couldn't be trusted. The pattern is the same every time. When institutional trust collapses, value flows back to things that are self-evidently real, things you can hold, smell, consume, things whose value doesn't require anyone else to agree with you. A bottle of vodka doesn't need the Federal Reserve. A gold coin does. But here's the problem with alcohol as a crisis asset. The moment you use it, it's gone. Trade it, gone. Drink it, gone. There is no second harvest, no renewal. It is a spent asset from the moment it leaves your hand. Powerful in the short term, essential in the right moment, but finite, and in a collapse that runs not weeks but months, and they always run months. You will eventually run out. The second item on this list is different in a way that should genuinely disturb you, because it doesn't address want. It doesn't address comfort or morale or the psychology of a negotiation. It addresses survival, literal, biological, no substitute survival. The kind of need where the person across from you isn't negotiating at all, they're begging, and they will give you everything they have. I'm talking about something that cost $3 before the Venezuelan collapse. Something that disappeared from pharmacy shelves so completely that mothers drove 4 hours across city lines just to find a single box. Something that, and this is the part that should make you stop and think, is sitting on a shelf at your local pet store right now, available without a prescription, manufactured in an FDA-inspected facility for under $20. Before 1928, what this item does was impossible, completely impossible. And because of that, the infection you got from stepping on a nail in your backyard could kill you in a week. The toothache your kid has right now would have been a death sentence 2 generations ago. We've lived inside the protection of this item for so long that we've forgotten what the world looks like without it. Venezuela remembered, and the people who had it didn't trade it for gold. They named their own price because there was no other price to name. That's the next video, and if you think you already know what it is, you don't know the half of it. You don't know what it costs right now. You don't know where to get it without a prescription. And you don't know what it traded for in Caracas in 2017, when a mother with a sick child had nowhere else to go. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. That video goes up next, and it will change how you think about what you're actually holding when you think you're prepared. I'll see you there.